wonderful good morning, everybody, and welcome back here to my channel, God's Shadow. And today I'm bringing you somewhat of a spicy list here in Red, White, Death, and Taxes. Um, a list that I have refined throughout the last couple of weeks. I was just playing a little bit in addition to Shadow League from Project Modern, and this is what I came up with. So, one of the cards that are among the strongest one drops in Modern, I think, is Fervent Champion. It's just so good with equipment and with the swords, especially because you can fetch it up with Ranger Captain of Eos, Violet in, or if you have a fourth mana, just play it straight up and then attach a sword to it and rock in at it, haste, instant speed, and get the triggers so you're generating a lot of card advantage, or you can kill a couple of creatures, recur creatures, whatever. So a hit with Fervent Champion and a sword mostly is already GG, and many people also don't realize that Fervent Champion actually does have that ability, so they only read like First Strike, Haste, and the first one, and then skip the Equip ability. So many a time our opponents are actually quite surprised by Fervent Champion being equipped and then attacking instantaneously. And that is just one spicy thing. So people who've watched the channel for a bit already know that Giant Killer is a card that I have been reverting to with in combination with Ranger Captain of Eos. Just a very good one drop against Eldrazi, against Tarmogoyfs, Death Shadows, and most of the time it is a kill spell first, and afterwards it just takes out one other creature entirely. So that's pretty good. And then there's Grim Lavamancer, a card that also red gives us access to against creature decks. Like we're a very interactive Death and Taxes deck for the most part. Like we can kill most creatures. We're better at killing small creatures, but we can through Giant Killer, etc. We can also deal with bigger creatures pretty decently most of the time. And other than that, so I've been like the 2-drop slot here has been the most difficult to fill. Stoneforge Mystic is the only card that I really need to have in the deck due to fetching the equipments, especially the swords. But as for the others, it's basically up in the air. So typically you want to be playing Thalias in here, but Thalia is really, like, since we're so interactive and play Lightning Bolts, a lot of swords, Ether Vials, Bone Crusher Giants, Thalia is really also taxing ourselves a lot. Therefore, I've been taking out Thalia recently more and more, and now we're at just 2 copies. I sometimes want to have her. I like having access to her, but I mostly don't want to have her on the battlefield. And she's also very bad against decks that are currently pretty prominent. So Eldrazi, Tron, Snoop Goblins, and she's also not very good against um, the snow piles because they just ramp into so much mana so fast. Aethersoul Canonist is basically the equivalent to Thalia, where it is a hate beer that stops multiple spells being played in a turn. That has also helped quite a lot against Storm, against combo in general, but also does a whole lot against Snapcaster decks or anything that just wants to play a couple of cheap spells each turn like Death Shadow. But it is pretty bad in multiples. It's just a 2/2 beer basically without anything hatey as soon as you have already one on the battlefield. That's why I filled the rest of the slots up with Charming Prince to just get a little bit more control over my top decks, as well as having a little bit of life gain. I do play 4 core Firewalkers, but Burn is a matchup that I just don't want to lose ever. Therefore, um, I just like having a little bit of mitigation main with Charming Prince, and then that mostly gives me an opening to fight with Sword of Light and Shadow or Batter Skull to gain back a little bit of life. Yeah, without it and with just 3 core Firewalkers on the sideboard, the matchup is favored, but still not a sure win, especially with Chandra's Fiery Incarnation or whatever the card's called, because that keeps the board very clean of creatures for the most part. Then there's Goblin Crater Maker, a card that I think is very underplayed in Death and Taxes lists, to be honest. It is, of course, being featured in Goblins, but in Death and Taxes, mostly it isn't. So it is decent as a 2/2 beer, just, hitting my opponent as all the other cards here, but it is really, really good against anything Eldrazi, where it can just kill basically any non-land permanent. And it also deals with a couple of other threats, like against Snoop Goblins, can kill a Snoop, it can, I don't know, go after a bridge, ensnaring bridge against prison decks. And so it can also kill Ether Vials against some decks, so just a very versatile, very good card. And I was playing 4 in between. 4 might be a little bit too many, especially because it's basically a 3 mana spell, because you have to utilize it. But nonetheless, I do want to have access to a couple of them. Then Ranger Captain of Eos is really the card. As soon as I hit 3 mana and potentially have an Ether Vial, I just want to go and hit Ranger Captains. And Bonecrusher Giant is just there because it provides a little bit of card advantage, it provides utility, it provides a big beater down the road. It's just an overall good card for the deck, I think. I was testing other cards like Magician of the Moon main as well, but most of the time I just think that Bonecrusher Giant is actually the best option. And then I added another sword, so typically you're playing 1 or 2 swords, but I added a third because they're so good in combination with Fervent Champion. And if I'm playing a Fervent Champion on turn 1 or turn 2, drawing into a sword off the top is actually pretty good. Whereas with Stoneforge Mystic, I mostly want to fetch Batter Skull for the most part, sometimes Sword of Fire and Ice. But yeah, so I wanted to create more of these situations where I already have a Fervent Champion on the battlefield with tight mana, and then just, at 3 mana where nobody expects a sword, especially after they killed a Stoneforge Mystic or whatever. I can just jam the sword, attack in, draw a couple of cards. The sideboard is pretty simple. We have Graveyard Hate in combination with Containment Priest, Tron Hate, Land Hate in general, and Core Firewalker for burn. Alright, let's jump into a league and see where it takes us. Alright, welcome to round number 1. We do have a decent hand, but I fear that we're playing against Tron or Eldrazi here, against which the hand wouldn't be great. We do have a Ghost Quarter, but like people with an Eldrazi emblem here as their profile pick. Alright, that's some sort of snow deck. Against which our hand should be a little bit better than against Tron. So this seems to be some sort of Emery deck, Urza Emery, whatever. We do have a Lightning Bolt to kill an Emery, so that would work out. And Etherstone Canonist, of course, also does a little bit of work here, although it's not super a lot, because most of our opponent's spells are, of course, artifacts. I could have also kept up the Lightning Bolt here in expectance of Emery dropping, and but we shall see. Might have actually missed the second land drop here, but that would be unlikely. It's already drawn, yeah, 4 or 5 cards. Alright, so this is what I'm talking about. That's why I think Fervent Champion is still correct being played here. Because it gives me the opportunity to next turn go with Sword of Fire and Ice, which is pretty nice. So I'm pretty sure that my opponent does have some sort of counter magic here, probably a Metallic Rebuke. I'm still gonna try to jam the Thassaron Canonist. If he does have a counterspell, that is okay. It's not great, of course, but Canonist gives me more value than a Charming Prince just randomly being played in order for my opponent to counter it. So I'm not. It could be a Thopter list, but could be many things. Oh, this is a little bit scary. This could, of course, mean a variety of things. Um, this is not a cryptic command, but it might be an Archmage's Charm. Let's see if he counters it. So I need double white for a potential um, Ranger Captain of Eos down the road. Alright, he lets it through. Now if he has a failed push or a Adrenaline Law here. Alright. That's still okay. We don't get to attack with it, but this is still one of the best outcomes for that particular turn, like better than having it counter or whatever. But since he hasn't played anything up until now, I am strongly inclined to believe that now we're facing an Urza. And that will be difficult just because the golem will be so big that we won't be able to attack into it. And of course also the additional mana that it just generates. Yeah. What a stupid card. Hmm. So if I attack with Sword of Fire and Ice, my Thassaron Cannons will die, of course, but so does the Construct. I think I'm gonna take the risk here. Because if he just lets it through, lets me draw a card, I can actually kill the Urza. Potentially. Not necessarily, of course, if he does have a cryptic command. Alright. Ah, it's a cryptic. Probably gonna bounce my sword here to have his construct survive. We're of invention. Yeah, that's of course absolute worst case scenario here. Certainly not what he wanted to draw with that War of Invention, but still not good for us. Alright, that doesn't do anything. Interesting that they are playing so many eliminates nowadays. Does not necessarily feel like they have to or had to. Let's try. And then I probably have to play the other Charming Prince as well, in order to get around that eliminate there. Alright, so I assume that next turn we will just try to equip and kill the Urza. But we shall see. So I'm going to do this because I can see, like if he fetches in response, yeah, I can see if he takes the eliminate to the top of his deck, or if he goes after Weird of Invention. Alright, so with eliminate, I definitely have to okay, so right now he just has access to one eliminate and one other card in hand. Of course, Urza. Come on. Ah, come on. That really sucks. Yeah, now we're not gonna get rid of that construct anymore. Because he's gonna eliminate, of course, the Charming Prince. And then I think we're gonna do something differently here. So now I'm gonna try the other way around. Put the lightning bolt away and put the ranger captain on top for me to be able to fetch for a giant killer to then go after the construct. Yeah, that doesn't really matter. That's also not a good play here. Because that would open him up to me having potentially another land or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the giant killer here to go after the construct. And then we can hopefully get through with our sword. Yeah, he's cracking bubbles to draw additional cards here. Frantic Inventory. Yeah, generally probably a very good card for the deck, but it already generates so much value anyway that I don't know if it's... Oh my goodness, that's so lucky. Motherfucking looker. But now the construct's only a 4/4. So I'm definitely gonna attack in. And keep one Ghost Quarter up just in case at some point there are cryptic commands or whatever. Yeah, he's gonna activate Urza, I guess. Land. That will just die here. Okay, so now I'm gonna go Charming Prince again, and he has basically two activations of Urza for the next turn. And if he doesn't hit anything good, then we can actually kill this freaking Urza next turn. That would be fantastic. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Motherfucking lucker. Oh my goodness. Oh fuck. Again. Damn the shit. Right, so his card in hand is probably not so good, and the Mana League of Force doesn't do anything as well. So we basically have to be like we're drawing an additional card as well a turn, but we have to beat. So either I put him down to 7 here, or I target the Urza just in case we're drawing like either a Lightning Bolt, a Crater Maker, or a Bone Crusher Giant. Putting him down to 7 would mean that he cannot fetch in order to get another Mystic Sanctuary, for instance. No, I'm going after the Urza here. Okay. Might have not been perfect, but it's okay, I think. And now I'm going with the Sword of Light and Shadow because if we equip that here, then we might be able to actually be on par for each turn. Out comes Astrolabe, for which he has to pay another mana, which is good. Also, of course, the Sword of Light and Shadow will protect our Charming Prince from eliminates. And we could get back a Ranger Captain of Eos or a Giant Killer, just in case it is necessary. I guess I could also put the Sword of Light and Shadow on my Thalia. Oh man. Was the card below. Alright. So I'm actually gonna attack. So I assume that my opponent actually does have something here. Yeah, I'm gonna attack with everything. If he blocks the Thalia, I can kill it with a sword trigger. Yeah, I thought so. Something's in the bushes. Could be an eliminate, of course. Or a fatal push. Okay. Yeah. Damn it. Yes. That's good. Wait. That's perfect. Because this is first strike damage, so Urza already has received the damage, but our Thalia has not. Therefore, this trade was actually very, very good for us. Polluted Delta, potentially fetching up a Mystic Sanctuary. Um, I'll have to be careful with my Ghost Quarters. So if I attack with a Thalia and it becomes a... No, I'm gonna put it onto the Stoneforge Mystic here. Because if he is going after my Thalia, that would be okay. Another one. Insane. Insane. Just a lot of removal for Nozadek here. But we shall see. I guess we got one more try in our back pocket. He's probably gonna look to get a Mystic Sanctuary here again. And then could decide on whether or not he wants to go with Weir of Invention or... Yeah. But I doubt that he's actually playing with Ensnaring Bridge here. So I don't exactly know what would be the best thing to get here. Alright, so it's a sculpture list as well. Alright. So obviously he can only generate 4 Thopters right now. Which means 4 to 5 life if he... Also, these are actually blue Thopters, therefore they can't block my sword. And that means that I'm just gonna go and target him so that he potentially has to... Ooh. So I could play the Fervent Champion here and equip it as well, but that would deal 1 damage less. So I'm not gonna do that right now. Because the Fervent Champion is just gonna die. So if we're drawing a land off the top, then I might be able to jam the Bone Crusher Giant as well. Or just draw another Bone Crusher Giant, or a Bolt, or whatever. that's still not enough. He has to sacrifice the Thopter Foundry as well. Which is good because now it's going to be really difficult for him. To get all the pieces together for next turn. Ah, come on. Alright, so it's not exactly what I hoped for, but I guess it's good enough. But we've already used 3 lightning bolts, so or have gotten discarded a couple. Alright, cool. I actually won game 1 here against this insane deck with a lot of interaction. Alright, so we need all the relics. Lightning bolts are actually pretty bad. I don't know if he's utilizing Emery, but I would almost assume as much. Yeah, our sideboard isn't perfect here. So I can cut a Fervent Champion. It's not the greatest against the small Thopter tokens. Then they are blue, so yes, I can also cut a sword. At least the one of Light and Shadow, because if I'm going after the graveyards aggressively, the sword of course becomes way worse. I think all of this is good. Might just cut 2 lightning bolts. Because I haven't seen a whole lot that I can actually get rid of with a lightning bolt. Let's see. So our opponent's already used more than half of his time for game 1. And we are making certain that we're fighting our way through game 2. At least we're going to try. So we've seen a little bit of what our opponent's doing. And most of it was basically a control deck with Urza, a Thopter Foundry, and a lot of artifacts. Well, let's see. Frantic Inventory. That card, of course, becomes worse if there's a lot of graveyard hate going on. Should have played the mountain here. It wasn't perfect. Because I wanted to go with the second relic. And then just play the Grim Lava Mance, I guess. That currently doesn't help us, but if he's just gonna go and play a Frantic Inventory in his turn, I'm fine with that as well. Therefore, I'm not gonna leave a mana up here to crack it. There currently isn't a whole lot. In our hand that is really significant. So let's see if he's gonna go fetch. No, he's not. Alright. Then I could attack here. Yeah, I think that's fair. Because the alternative would be to leave up 2 things here and get it done afterwards. Like, Grim Lava Mance and Goblin Trader Maker together can also kill Norza. It's not the best solution, but it is one of the few solutions that we have access to. And therefore, oh, it's not bad. Okay. See, this is a little weird from my opponent's point of view. Like, he must be protecting something here. Because otherwise this play doesn't make any sense. And I think it's more important to me to get rid of the eliminate here than to generate value for my Grim Lavamancer in this scenario. Alright. So now we only have one sword left, which means the other Stoneforge Mystic doesn't actually do anything. Which is a little sad. Gotta be honest. But anyhow, I'm still gonna play it because otherwise, like, he could kill something, or we could just get both to the battlefield if we wanted to. Oh shit, I'm ranting inventory. Yeah, need to stop that. Alright, cool. So this means that we're at least gonna get in with Sword of Fire and Ice once. Yeah, I actually like that better. Like, Sword of Fire and Ice is good, but right now I actually believe that the Thalia has to be prioritized here. It also gives me the opportunity to keep the relic open, so I actually don't hate that. And there's no artifacts on his side of the battlefield yet, therefore just makes this play a little more appealing. And without Urza, he doesn't generate enough mana to also go with a lot of Sword of the Meeks here. Arkham's Astrolabe, yes. Yes, great. Great game one. Alright, off to the races here after round one and going into round two. Shit. Alright, now people are also listening to me. I'm very sorry about that. There was a little bit of background noise, therefore I had to turn my microphone off. But now, to game 2, we are there. Well, game 3. I think it's fine what we have. Yeah, should be fine. Yeah, let's keep. It's not perfect, but it is okay. We have a little bit too many multiples here. Which of course makes my hand a little bit better against Inquisition and Thoughtseize effects, but he's gonna take the range captain anyway. Alright, now just creatures. Nothing else anymore, just creatures. And I potentially leave the Aether Vial on 1, just so I can... Is this gonna be Death Shadows already? Yes. Way too many lands here. Alright. Is that all you got this turn? Interesting. Not attacking there with a Death Shadow also means that there's no Street Wraith backup copy here. Oh, you got to be kidding me. This is so fucked up. All the fucking time. We've just drawn lands up until this point. It's really frustrating. Alright, so I'm gonna go with the Giant Killer and also play Athalia so that he can't do multiple things at once. And then next turn I'm gonna go after his lands. Yep. So if the Death Shadow had been a little bit bigger already, I would have had a different incentive there to just stay calm and do nothing. Or sacrifice the... Oh, you got to be kidding. Oh, you got to be kidding me, man. This is so fucked up. Alright, I'm still gonna go with this. And then hopefully he has loads and loads of things that he can't use. Full lands up until this point, nothing else. So it might be a drawn loch. Yep. But it's fine since there's no red source right now. Cannot really attack, can he? He risks me having like a Stoneforge Mystic here. Yeah. Alright. So this one goes up. Oh, this can't be real. This cannot be fucking real. Fuck this motherfucking shit. Fuck. Yeah, I'm still gonna go after his lands here. Don't have a whole lot of options. I could, of course, just wait for him to have another red source, and I think that would be fine, especially if he can push my ranger captain here. All right. Yeah. Have a look at my fantastic hand. And there's a red source. So I assume that this is going to be a lightning bolt, because there's nothing else to really get here. Oh man, if we just had drawn anything else, this would have been such an easy win. Insane. Anything. Stoneforge, Ranger Captain, anything. So the one stays and the other one goes to 3. Fuck. I'm gonna turn off all the yields. And then I'm just gonna go and play the Magus. Problem is that, of course, now I've given him the 2 basics, otherwise this would have been more potent. But anyhow. At least I can block the Snapcaster Mage. It does have a Teemo Better Rage. Dismember. Yeah, this is probably one of the worst possible hands we could have drawn. Fuck my life. Like, the opening hand was fine, but everything afterwards was just horrendous. Show me what I would have drawn, you motherfucking shithole program. Fuck. Alright, welcome to round number 3. I'm gonna keep a very risky hand here. But we're, like, our opponent's on a strong mulligan, and last time, well, a little bit frustrated here by what we've drawn last time, so I just hope that this time's gonna be the other way around. Alright. So it's either Burn or Bone Red Prowess. In either case, Bone Crusher Giant does help a lot here. And this is why Bone Crusher is so good in this deck. Otherwise, these matchups would be horrendous. If he doesn't have anything, I'm just gonna Violent the Give of Runes and block. Alright. That was a fast one, and now sideboard-wise we actually have quite a bit, therefore that's actually good. So I'm gonna cut the Giant Killer, although it seemed like it would be a prowess deck. So Giant Killer could actually still do something. But the rest of our deck's pretty neat. Do want to keep all of these cards. Probably don't need a Sword of Feast and Famine here. And potentially cut Athalia. On the draw, maybe better a Grim Lavamancer. It's just pretty slow and alright, so I probably have to fetch shock here. Never mind. No, I still want to fetch shock, I think. Or do I? If I go mountain here, next turn Thalia, fetch this for basic, yeah, that's fine as well. Then I go with a turn 3 Core Firewalker. It's not perfect, but it's okay. Yeah, alright. So this is prowess and not burn, which I already thought, and therefore Soul Scar Mage. I could also be going with a Crater Maker here, especially because next turn, like this would allow me to have a pretty good next turn if it survives, where it can go just Ko-Fi Walker and kill the Soul Scar Mage with the Crater Maker. Unless he's doing something really absurd. Yep, alright. Still fine, I think. We're at 11 life. Now we're dropping the Ko-Fi Walker. And already gain our first life here as well with the Fervent Champion. Since Ko-Fi Walker, of course, counts both players. Just normally you don't play red in your white deck that also plays Ko-Fi Walker. Unless you're playing like Jeskai Control or something. And obviously, like now, all these spells are just not as good. But this might be a Bedlam Reveler, and if it is, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wild Slash, oh my goodness. If you're gonna... damage can't be prevented, okay. But we can still block, I think. Yep. Alright, cool. So now we're gonna go with this. Thalia. I'm not gonna shoot the Sunbed Canyon right now. I'm gonna wait until he cracks the other one. And then I'm gonna go for it. Alright. So there's no Lavador in the bin, therefore I'm just gonna attack with Athalia. Ko-Fi Walker should be good enough to hold back the Soulscar Mage for a bit. The only way this goes really horribly wrong is once he finds a Bedlam Reveler. And since he's not playing a Lurus, despite also playing baubles. Maybe he's playing some main, I don't know. But it's very likely that he does have Bedlam Revelers. This is great though. So now I can get a Give of Runes, Violet in by the end of turn. And protect whatever I want to do next turn. Yeah, alright, GG's. Alright, welcome to round number 4. Hand is dicey, but again, we're gonna keep. That's what we call a hand with potential in Death and Texas terms. So good thing about this hand is that should we ever get to 3 mana by turn 3, can of course go in with a Fervent Champion pretty quickly, and the Stoneforge Mystic can also fetch up another sword here if necessary. Yeah, Hardened Scales. Mostly problematic, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so we got another land, which is good. I'm not gonna attack with the Fervent Champion yet. I'm gonna play the Stoneforge. Have a look if they actually kill it. And then in the upkeep, I'm gonna play the Charming Prince. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so I'm gonna go with... What do I want to go with? Sword of Fire and Ice. I think that might actually be more important here. Because we need to kill stuff. And the sequence of things is pretty neat. So we're gonna go end of turn, Fervent Champion, Violin, then upkeep. Take the Vial to 2. Shit. Welding Jar is a bummer. Right here. Yeah, Hangerback Walker. But at least we are gonna make him use it here. So I need an upkeep stop before we draw. Yes. Then we're gonna violin the Charming Prince. Could of course also bounce the Stoneforge here, but I think it's more important for me to get a third land in order to equip the Fervent Champion here. Oh shit. Goblin Crate Omega is actually also amazing here. That's actually a core that really helps in the matchup, but I'm gonna do that later. So I'm gonna put top because sometimes Moto is bugged and just lets me do whatever I want. And lets me just draw the other card as well. This has to be white. And then we're gonna go and attack with the sword. So now he can either choose to attack, to block, or to sacrifice his Welding Jar. Neither option is great for him. Of course, we aren't gonna get rid of the Hangerback Walker just yet, but it's better than just not being able to do anything. The real problem with this matchup is that we don't have anything against artifacts particularly. Yep. Regeneration Shield. So should he shoot something or attack aggressively? Now it's over. That's basically impossible for us to beat. Because this is going to be 4, even with the other swords. That's going to be a big problem. So I'm going to go no here. Bone Crusher Giant. Let's see. Okay, that might be our last and only chance here to do anything. How do I provoke him? If I just go Bone Crusher Giant on the Outbound Ravager, he's probably gonna go ahead and sack the Hangerback Walker, right? But that would still be alright. Yeah, I'm just gonna try it here. Because I can deal with 4 Thopters, but I can't deal with, like, whatever is coming out next turn. 6. Or even more. Yeah. Alright. So I cannot attack. And we have to be careful to not just die here. Welding Jar was so clutch for our opponent. Without the Welding Jar, I think we actually had a pretty... Yeah, now it's GG. Now we're dead. Really... Yeah. Nothing we can do here. Exactly the 3 cards that he needs, or 4 cards that he needs against us. And this is over. Like, he can put all the counters onto the Walking Ballista here and then just shoot us. Because Thopters are 8 plus the 4 plus the 4 is 16. So he just needs to attack with Thopters and then we're dead. Yep. I'm of course gonna block just in case. But we're dead now. What are you doing? Okay. Why don't you just finish it? So I'm gonna keep this at 2, I think. Hmm. Why don't you just kill me, man? I could have done that a long time ago. I do not know why we're still playing. Like, what does he fear? What could I have? Doesn't make any sense. Alright, doesn't matter. Can't be too stupid to kill me with a Walking Ballista. So I'm gonna bring in the Magus of the Moon, and other than that, I don't think I want anything. Either Thorn Canonist obviously isn't great. Yeah, that's it. Hardened Scales is also the only artifact deck running around right now. All the others are basically Urza decks that also feature artifacts. But like real artifact synergy is just Hardened Scales. Therefore I don't have anything in my sideboard. Also because we're playing so many artifacts that doesn't really fit. Okay, we have a pretty similar hand to what we just started with. But only difference being that we have access to a lightning bolt this time around. Don't care about knockbound worker, it's just hard scales into hanger back into all that kind of shit. That is what really hurts. There's the hanger back, which we're definitely gonna instantly kill. The good thing about sort of... Oh, I can actually do the same again. Yes, and yes. Let's go upkeep. Charming Prince. Scry. Definitely not that, but I would like to have this, I think. Now I'm gonna play the Sword of Light and Shadow right now, because he doesn't know about my Crater Maker yet. And next turn I will be able to sacrifice the Crater Maker and then recur it with the Sword of Light and Shadow, which is pretty neat. Walking Ballista, sure. All of which isn't really impressive right now. Might have a Dismember, of course. If so, so now I'm gonna attack. He's probably not gonna do anything in terms of blocking. Lol. Okay, that's that, I guess. Animation module. Yeah, I'm still gonna block the animation module here. Open worker, I mean, sorry. Because he cannot utilize it for his animation module right now, and I can still get rid of the Walking Ballista if I want to. Mm-hmm. that is... I don't know. So now the question becomes, do I kill the animation module or do I go after the outbound worker? This just moves the counters, therefore I think animation module is the target. And then it was pretty good. It was basically a 3-for-1 here with the Crater Maker, and that's a pretty good deal for us. It was just very unfortunate that our opponent did have the Nature's Claim there. Fervent Champion. Yeah, we'll have to wait a little here. Igmoth Nexus also poses a threat that we do have a couple of options against, of course, in something like Ghost Quarter, Bone Crusher Giant, Lightning Bolt, basically anything. So there's no counter on here, therefore should be alright. And I think I'm gonna let that slip. So that I don't understand. He should have sacrificed the artifact there. Oh, you got to be kidding me. It's the same shit like last time all over again. Well, my opponent's out of gas. Should we ever, well, have something like an Ancient Stirrings for our deck? That would be amazing. So Azilioth is insanely strong. But my opponent's not playing this correctly, I think. Could be way more aggressive on the Igmoth Nexus. Well, not anymore, I guess. So you can still activate it in response, therefore I'm not going to do anything here. Yeah. Attacking here doesn't give us anything because he will use the Throne of Geth in response to grow the Arcbound Worker. Oh, come on. Motherfucker. Now the Azilioth, of course, is really, really good. Because now that basically functions as a deposit box where every time something dies, it receives the counters and then gives it back plus taxes. But we shall see. Most importantly, we would like to find something like a ranger captain that can fetch up a giant killer. Okay. So now you should definitely go with a Throne of Geth. Yep. Yep. Currently don't need to stop here, and these are just completely irrelevant by now. Thalia. Also not super great. At least not for the foreseeable future. Our opponent's hand is really not good as well. Like, it has become pretty good right now, but... And if this is a walking ballista, then... Or hangerback walker, then of course it is way better. Because now we really can't do shit anymore. That is a lucky hit. Insane. Alright, welcome to the last round here. Today with red, white, death and taxes. And perfect. Our opponent's playing some Yorion shit. And this is gonna be problematic. I can already feel it. So I'm gonna ditch the Grim Lavamancer. Because like if it was our turn 1 play then it's fine, but otherwise I just don't want to have it in my starting hand. I'd rather go with the Stoneforge Mystics here. Alright, so Yorion is blue-white. We could basically go with any of our cards, but I think the most... I think I want to go with Fire and Ice, to be honest. Especially because once we hit red, like if we draw, if our next land here is a red, next turn, then we can go Fervent Champion and Sword of Fire and Ice. Perfect. Our opponent doesn't seem to have any interaction up until now. Because as good as snow-covered forests are, they should not allow him to kill my Fervent Champion here. Also, the Sword of Fire and Ice protects my Fervent Champion from a Teferi. Should one come down, although the mana base currently makes it pretty difficult, but these decks always find a way. Alright, cool. So now we're actually generating card advantage every turn. And we also have a way of getting through the Yorion should come down. So I'm interested in seeing how our opponent like pulls out of this. And of course we can also stack onto that Fervent Champion with additional swords once we get there. He basically has to use the Field of Ruin right now if he wants to do it, because otherwise I'm just going to go. Alright. Yeah, and this is like if on Monday, like tomorrow, Astrolabe gets banned, then all of these decks really have an issue with their mana bases, because just having these types of scenarios without the ability to oh, we can actually also do this pretty neatly. To fix the mana, then it's really slow for the most part. So let's go with a sort of Feast and Famine, I think. Or Light and Shadow. Light and Shadow would also... Oh, Feast and Famine. Yeah. I know, right? And nobody's playing it but me. Like, Fervent Champion is such a good card in these Stoneforge Mystic decks. It's so good. Wall of Denial. Wall? What? Let's see. We already have kind of lethal here. I assume that he does not have. Well, I mean, he could have something like Dead of Winter, I guess. So I'll just see and keep mana open here to go with double bolt over 2 turns, and then that should do it. Yeah, Ice Wall doesn't do anything. That looks pretty desperate to me. Alright, opponent gave this one up. So Uro is definitely in the deck, so we're bringing in relics. I think Crater Maker can probably go, although it also gets rid of Astrolabes. Could also go with Magus of the Moon, but the mana fixing could be too strong. Not entirely sure on that. Giant Killer is fine. Grim Lavamancer is probably not something that I want, especially with 4 relics. And the same also goes for Sword of Light and Shadow. Yeah, let's go with that. Hmm, 3 vials. Alright, let's try it. Vials in this matchup in general are pretty alright because they allow me to go under counter magic and also have a couple of surprise turns. But 3 vials are very prone to just being too redundant, but we shall see. So I strongly assume that this is going to be an Ice Fang Wall. I'm just going to start things off with the Fervent Champion here because it does have first strike as well, and therefore is pretty good against Ice Fang Wall. It's just such a good card. It's such a good card. It's also so fun to play with. I really don't know why nobody's using it. But anyhow, so we're gonna go with another vial here. And run into a counterspell. Or this. Okay. This is what I meant. Like, our opponent's definitely coming around with counter magic. And well, we shall see. Wall of Omens. Oh, these are cards that I haven't seen in quite a bit. Sure. Alright, so Shock's here, which probably means that and there is a path to exile. Huh. So I don't need to play the Stoneforge, I can vial it in. Therefore, my play is attack with the Fervent Champion. 3 vials actually, but who's counting? So then we're gonna kill the Wall of Omens because of the Yorion. I don't want him to have additional. Lord, he's pathing my Fervent Champion. That's actually quite interesting. Alright. We're gonna get a plains, then Vile, and then Relic of Progenitus, because our opponent most likely also does have access to Uro. Like there's no snow deck with green-blue that does not run Uro. And then we actually create a very neat situation again where we can fetch another Fervent Champion and a sword and just attack in. Alright, not anymore. Strange pile of cards here from our opponent. Like just so much stuff that I haven't seen in quite a bit. Nonetheless, pretty good. Alright. I think that we're still going to go with sort of Fire and Ice. Could of course also go with a Batter Skull. Well, let's go with a sort of Fire and Ice. Need to somehow get around this Wall of Omens though. Perfect. So our opponents miss land drop, and therefore I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive here. Yep. Alright, so I'm gonna bold it to death. And then if he wants to get rid of my Ranger Captain, that is fine with me, because then I can follow up with Fervent Champion and fire a Sword of Fire and Ice. And otherwise I can still keep my Fervent Champion in hand and protect it, because it just generates so much value. And just equip the Sword of Fire and Ice to my Ranger Captain. But it appears that my opponent does have something to do here. Yep, that's what I thought. Alright. Perfectly played around a Supreme Verdict here, because now we get actual value out of our Sword of Fire and Ice. Both of the cards that he got rid of have fetched other cards, so overall is actually still a pretty good turn here for us. And I can also start cracking my relic at some point at least. So this one comes in. Hopefully he does not have a force negation, of course. I'm keeping up the Ghost Quarter just in case I need to get rid of like a Celestial Colonnade or whatever. It is, right? It's so good. Also feels so good. It feels so potent and makes these swords so much better. Well, you've seen it here first. Yep. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Sure. Just an Arcum's Astrolabe. That sucks. That really sucks indeed. Alright. Now I'm actually gonna crack my relic, because that's uncool. Opponent's still a little bit short on mana though. We shall see if that turns out to be in our favor or not. So now we have to plan on fighting this Yorion at some point, which is a 4/5, and I don't have the sword anymore, therefore I might have to go with Giant Killer here. I could of course also just fetch another Fervent Champion to attack for more. Because together, I mean, this card has so many modes, so much stuff that it can do. Um, and maybe Yorion is actually too slow here. Maybe I should have just gone with a Fervent Champion anyway. But I'm gonna go with a Giant Killer, just play the Give of Runes here and keep up the Lightning Bolt. The good thing is for an opponent with 80 cards, it's really difficult to find the specific answers that you're looking for. Wall of Denial, cool. Defender, Flying Shroud. Alright. So I can give my Ranger Captain protection from white to evade both of those. He can block my Fervent Champion. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and, well, do I need to? Let's wait. Alright. Bone Crusher Giant. So it's down to 5, which is actually lethal. Alright. And the only thing that would prevent that would either be a forced negation or potentially a spell snare. No! Yeah, I should. Oh, damn it. Yeah, I should have. I was so sure that I'm gonna win here that I actually didn't use the Ranger Captain. I should have protected my Lightning Bolt. Obviously. Oh my goodness. Shit. Now, hopefully that doesn't cost me here. Night of Autumn. Alright. It's just gonna gain 4 life. Oh man. Yeah, that was a big mistake. That was just vain. Pure vanity. Shit. Alright. because he didn't use it before, and I must have drawn it off the top. It was unlikely anyway, but yeah, I should have played it safe, definitely. What was that? Oh, that was Yorian. Okay. Hmm. Let's see. Very nice opponent, gotta say. Yeah, and overall, really good games. Like, I almost fucked it up here, but in the end, it was fine. All right, that concludes the league for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Um, yeah, I probably will have to replace game 2 against Death Shadow because part of it was muted due to having background noises, but I might also just leave it in and add an additional um, later. We shall just see. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for all the new supporters that came in. So big thanks to those.